Hello, dears. Very good morning to all. Welcome back to English online class. Today we are continuing the lesson Adventure in the Andamans. In previous class, Neeta ma'am taught you about Mano's beautiful experiences in the ocean. But before we had gone to the second part, let us do the recap of the story that we studied in the last class. Are you ready? The boy named Manav who went to Andaman Island with his parents to spend his summer vacation. The boy loves swimming in ocean. He met a little turtle and he had fish with him. So next day what happened? The turtle took the boy Manav to deep inside the ocean and there Manav saw coral reefs, slimy eels and then thousands of starfish and number of turtles. This much portion we discussed in the last class, isn't it? I'm sure you might read the first portion and you have already thrilled to know what happened to Manav and the tiny turtle. So, all of you open your textbook and take page number 28. Listen to the second paragraph. Let's see what happened next. This was Tiny's family. I was dizzy with excitement. After a few moments, I thought it best to thrust my head out of the water and get some fresh air. Then, as I plunged back down to join Tiny, I nearly choked. I saw him twisting and turning in a section of fishing net, a silver hook planted firmly in his back left leg. Wait, Tiny, I cried. I will help you, but you have to trust me. Tiny stayed perfectly still, but I could see the pain in his eyes. My hands were shaky, but soon I gently pulled the hook free and the net came away easily. Tiny was safe. I gathered up the net as I didn't want any other turtle getting caught. I suddenly realized I had been away from the beach for quite some time. So I waved to the turtle family and rose to the surface. Here, rose is the past tense of rise. Let's go through the difficult words and its meaning. Dizzy. Do you know what's the meaning of dizzy? Dizzy means faint. Then the next one is thrust. Thrust means pushed out. Plunged. Plunged means jumped quickly. Then the next one is choked. Unable to breathe. Then the last one is gathered up. Picked up. Let's see what happened next. In ocean, Manav saw Tiny's family with excitement. Then he pushed out his head out of the water to get fresh air. Then dive down. Dive means what? Jump down to join Tiny. He was unable to breathe. He was unable to breathe because of strong emotion. Because of strong emotion. He was so tense. He was so tense. What's the reason? Because Tiny caught a fishing net. Tiny started twisting and turning in a fishing net. Here we can see the very good nature of Manav. He gathered out the net. He did not want other turtles to get caught. Then suddenly he realized he had been away from the beach for quite some time. So let's see what happened in the next paragraph. But the beach seemed so far and my parents were just tiny little dots.
I had never been so shocked or frightened in my life. Tears filled my eyes as I tried to keep moving my hands and feet. They felt as if they were made of iron. Tiny, I cried. I'm so tired and the beach is so far away. I simply can't swim back.
Let's see what happened next. Manav want to get back to the beach. Here Manav want to get back to the beach. He looked back and he saw he was far away from the beach. He was far away from the beach. And his parents were seemed to be tiny little dots. Parents were seemed to be tiny little dots. At that time, Manav was very much shocked and frightened for the first time. For the first time, Manav was very much shocked and frightened. Manav's eyes filled with tears. His eyes filled with tears and he tried to swim fastly. But Manav's hands and feet feel like they were made of iron because he was not able to swim. Manav felt that his hands and feet were made of iron. Manav was so tired. He tried a lot to move forward. He took a lot of effort to move his hands and feet as if they had become as heavy as iron. Manav cried, Tiny, I'm so tired. I'm not able to move. I'm not able to swim.
Suddenly, I found a huge turtle beneath me. I gently reached down to hold the edge of her shell, and she started to move slowly. I held my breath, and we soon started moving through the water easily. I found that Tiny followed us too. It was a ride I would never forget. Do you know what's the meaning of held my breath? Held my breath means waited with fear.
Here, Manav says that he suddenly saw a huge turtle beneath him. Then he went down and held on the edge of that turtle shell. Then the turtle started moving towards the seashore. Tiny was also followed them. Manav says that it was a pleasant ride that he never forget.
I spotted my worried parents walking up and down the shore waiting for me. As soon as it was shallow enough for me to stand, Tiny and the big turtle moved away. I stood on shaky legs, and as I looked back, Tiny poked his head out of the water and gave me one final smile.
Here what happened? Here Manav saw his parents who were worried and walking up and down in the seashore. My parents were too much worried about Manav. When he reached to the shallow depth of the ocean, from where he could walk towards the shore, the big turtle and the Tiny left Manav and went back to the deep ocean. Manav stood there with shaky legs and looked back. He noticed that Tiny raised his head and smiled at him. Smiled at Manav.
That was the last time I ever saw Tiny, but it was the best day of my life. I told my parents what had happened and even showed them the net. But they just thought I had been playing imaginary games. I still have that net today, but have never told anyone else my story. I knew nobody would ever believe me except maybe you.
Let's see what happened at last. Here, it was the last time that Manav saw Tiny. However, he says that it was the best day of his life. It was an unforgettable day of Manav's life. He told the whole story to the parents and showed the fishing net from which he saved Tiny to them. But his parents thought that he was explaining about an imaginary game that he played. Parents thought that he was explaining about an imaginary game that he played. Do you know what's the meaning of imaginary game? Imaginary game means game which is not real. Game which is not real. He never told his story to anyone else because he know that no one will believe it except you. I hope you all enjoyed this story adventure in the Andamans, isn't it? Tell me, children, what is the story teach us? What do you learn from this story? Please say, what do you learn from this story? The story teaches us to help someone when they are in need. Here, Manav helped the turtle to free himself from the net. At first, Manav helped the turtle to free himself from the net. In turn, the turtle took the help of the big turtle to reach Manav safely to the shore. Have you got it? I hope all of you understood the story. Read the story. If you have any doubt, feel free to call your English teacher concerned.
Thank you.